Hello, hello.
Hey, Jonathan, how you
How are you
going?
going? I'm good. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. Looks like we've got people starting to roll in now. So I think all up we had about 39 registrations. So we might have a few latecomers. I think given we've only got half an hour, I'll just quickly introduce you and we can get going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you everybody for coming this morning. Hopefully, Jonathan will be able to answer all your questions about Astalty and what it might be able to do for you and your business. As you all know, I'm quite the fan. So I have the experience of being a customer of Jonathan's in the past. So between the two of us, we can answer questions from both ways. But I'll hand over to Jonathan, who's the owner of Astalty, and he will get going. I'll mute myself for now. But at the end, hopefully, if we have some time, Jonathan, there might be a couple of questions for you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Jono. I'm from Astalty, and we predominantly do support coordination software. So we started Astalty around 3 years ago. I have an NDIS business myself, and we were trying to find software to cater to our needs, and we couldn't really find anything that fit the bill. So my business partner and I, James, we decided to go on this journey and kind of build Astalty a couple of years ago. And at the moment, I believe we have around 2,000 support coordinators across the country that use our software every day, across 800 businesses. So yeah, really excited to show you guys through the system, through Astalty. And one of the biggest things around support coordinators is they're just so time poor. So really keen to kind of show you guys a few strategies that we've implemented in the system to kind of make your jobs a little bit easier. And then, answer some questions at the end. So yeah, can everyone see my screen okay? I'm going to take that as a yes. Brody, if you can't, just let me know. Yep, perfect. Great. Monica, thank you. Sammy, thank you. Cool. So I'm going to jump straight to the task board because I feel like this is probably the most different feature in comparison to a lot of the CRMs out there. So as you guys, if you guys are, support coordinators, your day is often very, very busy. So what we wanted to do is kind of give you a platform where you can very easily just kind of add in your case notes, your billable time, kind of see everything from one location and not have to kind of have, 50 tabs open across the top of the screen and be kind of switching between things all day long. So the first thing that you do in Astalty, let's say today's Monday and we are working with Jaden. So Jaden's on our caseload and we just had some email comms, maybe we're doing some referrals, something like that, and I'll hit enter. Then I'm going to set up the charge as level 2 coordination. Then I can add in my billables. So in this instance, I'm going to bill 15 minutes. Then I can click into the task here. I might have a template that I'm using for my case notes. And then I can just add in the information.
Yeah.
What's great about this is it automatically saves as well. So I've done my case note. Now on the right, you can actually view the expenditure. So
Yep.
getting a bit of feedback in the chat. So if you guys don't forget to turn your microphone on silent.
Yeah, Jonathan, sorry, I'm going to see if I can do that from my end. I thought I had, but I will keep trying.
That's all good. Not a problem. And so you can track the expenditure as you're billing. And this update's kind of in real time as well. So for example, if we had to come back in after the fact, we did some more emails maybe, we can add an additional 15 minutes on top of that. And you can actually see the utilization increase. So you haven't got to worry about exhausting funding as much because you always have this kind of front and center, which is great. So I've done my case note. Now all I need to do is mark that off as being completed, and then you can move on to the next thing as well. So I'll just go through this really quick. Let's say we had a phone call. Disregard my bad spelling. And let's say that we're on the phone for an hour. So it's really, really easy for coordinators, especially those who are, short of time, just to kind of get things done. So all of that will feed into the billing as well. So Astalty will actually handle all your invoicing, send and create, well, it'll create the invoices and then send them to the self and the plan managers as well, which is really nice. So that's kind of the basic kind of case noting and billing functionality. And I just want to touch on a couple of other kind of time savers as well for you guys. So if I jump to Jared's profile, one of the things that you'll notice about Astalty is everything is copy and pastable. So let's say, for example, you're working off two screens. What you could do is you could go to a profile, you can copy the information really easily, NDIS number, date of birth, things like that, and then paste it straight into the referral form as well, which is great. So just a nice little time saver there. Now, if I go down to templates down the bottom here, you'll also see that we have all the NDIA templates built into the system. So I'm sure many of you have filled out these forms before. It can be a little bit painful sometimes because you add in information, it messes around with the formatting of the document and can be a little bit fiddly. So it'll actually pre-populate for you with all of the participant information on the form. Just go down and fill it all out, and it will actually produce the exact same form in the same formatting. So you can send that to the participant and get that signed. And you can email it to the agency as well. So, and I'll see if I can get a copy of one of these so you can see how it generates. Hopefully I filled that out correctly. All right, it's just produced that as a docx. So I'll come back to that and I'll show you guys a little bit later as well. So you've got the other ones there, the review of a reviewable decision, change of details and situation, progress reports, etc. So really handy to kind of have all those things in the system so you haven't got to worry about filling out those forms. All right, Monica had a question in the chat. If you are on the trial version, if you go down to templates here, and then if you scroll up and then you can toggle between custom templates and NDIA templates, you should be able to find those as well. If your trial is expired and you're on the light version, it might not show up. So reach out to us if you have any issues finding those as well. Okay. So the next question, the next thing I'm going to go through is just creating a budget and a service agreement. So in Astalty, it's really, really easy for you guys to create service agreements and send them from the system. So I'll just go through that workflow. So let's call this one support coordination. And I'm going to use the plan dates here that are already in the system. And then I'm going to hit create. From there, I'll select the relevant line item, level 2 coordination. And this one's going to be 20 hours per plan. So you can see it kind of do the calculation for you as well. Now you might add in a description in here. I've got a couple other ones that aren't support coordination, but I'll just add that in anyway. So if you had your own description for support coordination, you could add that in there. Hit create. Now you might want to add additional line items. Maybe you're separating out the travel and bits and pieces. Maybe you're doing recovery coaching and you want to split that. You could do that as well. Now you can do a few things here. So you can export this as a PDF, give that to a stakeholder as a quote, or you can generate the service agreement, have your own service agreement in the system, and then hit generate. And what it'll do is it'll actually create the service agreement that you've put into the system with all the various placeholders. It'll put the participant's name where it needs to go. It'll put your business name where it needs to go as well. And then down the bottom, you've got the schedule of supports, the budget that we just created as well. So you can finish this, finalize it, and then you can actually send it straight from the system. One of the things that we try to do in Astalty is we try to think about what's the actual business process and how can we make it easier for things like compliance as well. So, generally, if you are sending a service agreement out, you want to store the expiry date. You want to know when that's going to cease so you can get a new agreement in place if necessary. So what we've done is after you create the agreement, you can create the record and then you can select the expiry date and then you can send it for signing. So what that'll do is it'll create the record type so you can track the expiry. It'll send it to the participant. And then when it gets signed, it comes straight back into the system for you. So you haven't got to re-upload it or anything else like that. Now, of course, not all participants have email addresses or they're not tech savvy. So you can just download that as a PDF. I'll get that signed in person and then re-upload that as well, which is really nice as well. So, and then it'll look something like this. So once you're starting to kind of track all those records, you'll be able to see, is this current? Is it expired? Click into it and you can actually view the document within the software as well, which is nice and easy. So now with anything like that, with regard to document, you can add. Just got a question in the chat. So yes, absolutely. So anything in regards to remote, very remote, any of those charge items, you can adjust that as well. That's not a problem. So yeah, with any of the records that we're tracking, you can run reports to see across your business or across your own caseload, who's got current, who's got missing documents. And this is great for audit because you can kind of start to prepare. You can have a look at what's the status. Is it missing? All right, we need to do some work here. We need to get all these service agreements up to scratch. We need to follow up with our emergency response plans, or you can filter by expired as well. So I've only got one expired document there, which is great. And with any of these as well, you can set up notifications. So not having to always run this report, you could set up notifications to alert you, say 7 days in advance or 14 days in advance, that the document's coming up for expiry as well, which is great. All right. So another thing here, especially if you are running a team, is the utilization. So you can get really good oversight over your spending across the entire business or your caseload as well. And you can see who's overspending and who's underspending. If I click into that one there, you can see that I'm underspending by 7%. So we've spent 10%, but 17% has elapsed as well. So this is another way you can visually kind of track that expenditure as well. All right. So just a question for everyone. Do many people have a referral form? And does anyone have a referral form on their website? If you do you want to just put a 1 in the chat? If we have enough people, I'll show you through that feature. If not, all good. All right, we've got a couple there. Perfect. So a super handy feature as well in Astalty is you can build your own referral form. It can be kind of custom to your business. You can change things around. You can add different headings, kind of like a Google form. So I've got this one here, and you can add things in. You can add email addresses in, and what you can do, you can preview it, make sure it looks nice. You can actually get the embed link, and you can copy this form and then have that on your website, which is great. So that means that any referral that you do get comes through your website, and it will automatically get created in Astalty, and then you'll be able to create a participant profile based off that form. So just another way that we're trying to save people time. So you haven't got to get your referral form, type it into the system manually, and manually update that as well. So for example, if you've got a new referral, all you would need to do is hit actions and then create the new participant. And this would create the participant profile for you as well.
Nice.
So a nice little time saver there.
Wanting to get work to get. We've been trialing different ones.
All right. So I'm happy to dive into some more features, or Brody,
That won't work.
you want to maybe open the floor up to a few questions, and we can kind of take it from there as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll just give everyone a reminder again. I have tried to mute everyone again from our end, but it's not working. So if we can just make sure you guys are all on mute, just so we can all hear everything. Yeah, thank you so much for that, Jonathan. I think lots of people are already impressed with what you've shown us. So have people got some questions that they might want to ask Jonathan while you have his expertise here? Monica's put something in the chat.
Yeah, tracking budgets that are not managed by a support coordinator. So for tracking your clients' budgets. Yeah, this is a question that comes up a lot, and it's one that I guess our point of view is we could build the ability to track and manage budgets based on plan managers portals, based on participant portals, but the information is only as good as the time that you get it. So that if you're having to get this information from the portal, then enter it into the system, the next day potentially it's no longer accurate. So we feel like it would probably create a lot of manual data entry. So our solution is always, let's say you would have a document category, and you might call the document category plan manager statements or participant statements or something like that. And if you're getting like a PDF from a plan manager, you could store that there. And then that PDF would be your point of reference rather than having to do the data entry. In saying that, we do give you the ability to track what's been implemented and allocated to a provider. So let's use this as an example. I've got 54,000 here in core. If I wanted to check out who is implementing that, I could go to manage, and then I could have a look here, and I can see that I've got two supports in place. This could be an independent, for example, who has 54,000 originally allocated in their service agreement. And then I've got Astalty, who is implementing, 2,500. So it's kind of put me over budget there. So I can visually see that here. But this is really just about, I guess, tracking what's in the initial service agreement, not so much what's being utilized. So yeah, I'm not sure if that answers your question, but that's kind of how we approach that. One thing I did find out on this week is the API with Proda or Pace, which is something that we're working on, actually allows you to get live updates from Proda and Pace, and we're trying to integrate with that. So that would pretty much alleviate the need to have plan manager portals or check them all the time, because you'd be able to see it hopefully in Astalty. James and I were talking about that this week, and I think that's really powerful for coordinators. So How to add line items. Sure. So we just go down to settings here, go to charge items, and then what we would do is just add a charge item. We could search the arrangements. So maybe we're doing, let's add something relevant. I've got psychosocial recovery coaching. You can add that in here. And then I'm just going to give this a short reference, and then I'll hit create. So super easy. We've got all the line items. They're all up to date as well. You can manage automatic updates. So if you turn that on, as soon as a new price guide drops, that will update as well. Okay, Naomi. So can you transfer all of your clients from a current package to Astalty? Yes, absolutely. What you would need to do is, so long as your current provider's got an export ability, you could export that spreadsheet. You would then go to settings, imports, and then you can download our template. Then you would just need to copy and paste it from one to the other. Come back into here, scroll down to the bottom, and then import that back into the system. And then that would create all the participant profiles as well. So it's almost instant. Probably the longest thing, or the most time consuming thing, is just doing the whole copy and pasting, making sure it matches the formatting and things like that as well. Elizabeth, I did see that email. I'll get back to you after this in regards to the subscription as well. So we do the tracking so that we can advise clients what they can and can't afford. We use the data from the plan managers. We could then put it in the budget section. The aim is to forecast as well as track. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that capability. I didn't really understand that that was possible until this week. So yeah, we're going to try and push a little bit more to get that feature. How does the financials work when it comes to billing? So yeah, I can go through that. Brody, you know the system. You'd probably be able to talk to some of this, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah, come on. It's been a little while, Jonathan. You know that. It's been at least 6 months or so, but I could try.
That's all good.
Actually, no, you need Jodie here. She used to do all the invoicing.
Yeah, okay, cool. So what you could do is just navigate to finance, select the date range. If you want to do it daily, you can do it daily. If you'd like to do it weekly, you can do that as well. And then generate the draft batch. Now, if you've got things in the system that you haven't marked off as being completed, you're going to get these orange dots just as a bit of a warning to say, hey, are you sure you want to bill for this? Because it doesn't look like you've completed it. So I'm going to get rid of those orange dots and just leave everything else. And so when I hit confirm on that, all of myself and my plan managed invoices have been created and then been sent to the self and the plan managers. You can see these two here. These ones are self-managed, so they've been sent to the participant. If you are agency managed as well, you can generate that bulk upload file and then upload that into Proda or Pace. I won't go too in depth with some of this stuff, but I've just, at a high level, this is kind of how it all works. If you want to view the invoice, you can do that. This is kind of what it looks like in the system. You can track whether or not it's been sent and who to. You might want to download that invoice as well. If you do utilize Xero, we connect directly with those guys. You can get exports for MyOb and QuickBooks as well if you use those too.
And I'll just say that I don't really like reading instructions or watching videos. And when I first used this program, I managed to bash my way through it without reading instructions. It's much easier to read the instructions, everyone, but just to show how simple it can be to use. I did manage to get invoices out when I did my practice runs without too much drama. So yeah, if you're also not an instruction reader, this still could be the program for you.
Yeah, we've definitely taken that feedback on board. So we try to make a video and a written explanation anytime. So if you go to the user guide at the top here, and then you wrote invoicing in, where are we? There should be a step-by-step, and hopefully, fingers crossed, there is a video at the bottom here. There we go. So yeah, if you're not into reading, there should be a video explainer there as well. When you do start a subscription or a trial, you do get an email from myself or Keen, and it's got 3 different courses there. One is setting up the software from the beginning. The second one is kind of how to work as a coordinator. And the third one's finance. So you can kind of use those depending on, where you're up to as well. Share them with the team, and they're kind of good to get going as well.
I think we just have a couple more questions there, Jonathan. I think the next one, there was Shelley and then Rebecca. Just to confirm, each user is a new subscription cost?
Yes, that's right. So each person who accesses the software, it's an additional, say, depending on your subscription, either the $59 or the $64. So if it's just one person, it's 64. If you add another person, it's an additional 64 there as well. So there's no other, there's no lock-in contracts. There's no onboarding fees. The only thing that we do charge for in addition is we integrate with DocuSign. So if you want to send a bundle, for example, you've got a service agreement, a consent form, and you want to send them off in the beginning, it's kind of $1 per bundle as well. So that's the only other additional cost.
Which I think that program at standalone is about $30 a month anyway. So unless you're sending 30 bundles every month, then it still works out cheaper than actually signing up to DocuSign itself. So yeah, that's another definite benefit. I think Sammy just had the last question is, does it have the ability to have dated tasks?
Dated tasks, yeah. So when you are doing a task, everything will be kind of dated based on what day you're entering it under. I'll go to a blank week, so you've got your Monday, Tuesdays, etc. And then each note should be time-stamped as well from memory. So it's date stamped here, and then if you hover over it, you get the time that it was entered as well. And Kaz, so per support coordinator, not per participant. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, we don't charge per participant. Thanks, Brody.
And Sammy's just wanting some clarification. Can you future date tasks to appear as a to-do list?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what you could do, for example, is you could create a task and then date it into the future, say a week, or pick a date, for example. And then you could just call it something like complete progress report. And then that would create on your task board into the future. So if you scrolled ahead, essentially that would pre-populate. I don't know what date I did that one on, but I'm sure it will be there. So yeah, absolutely, you can do that. Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for jumping in today. There's so many features. I could talk all day about Astalty. I just try to pick the most relevant ones for everyone in the audience. So if you do want to do an additional demonstration, you can just go to astalty.com.au and then you can book a demonstration here. If you want an actual demonstration, just make sure you pick 3 to 5, because if you pick 1 to 2 here, it'll just show you the video. So it's a little hack there if you want an actual demonstration. Just pick 3 to 5 or up, and then you can book a time with Kian and myself, and we can go through the whole thing in a bit more detail as well.
Before everyone runs off, just to let you know, we'll send everybody an email with our codes. And I can see there, Rebecca, you said our code Mindgrown did not work. So we will have a look at all of that. We're just ironing out a few issues here with codes and me getting dates wrong and things like that. But you'll all get an email after today, and we'll sort out all your codes. And Jonathan, obviously, if you do want to buy and get on board straight away, just let Jonathan know you've come through the Mindgrown webinar, and he'll sort that out for you anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah, a few teething issues, but we'll get it all sorted.
Beautiful, no worries. Well, everyone keep an eye out for your email, and we're here to help if you need to ask any other questions.
Absolutely.
Have a great day, everybody.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, bye. Bye, Jonathan.
Bye.